Hello, I am so pleased to welcome my friend and dating coach extraordinaire, Laurie Gerber, to our show today. Laurie is a dating coach with well over 20 plus experience dating. She was dating before she got married. Um, Coaching both private individuals and groups in a group format, of which I have been the participant of, which is a lot of fun, and I've learned so much. Laurie's been doing that for a long time. She was trained in the Handel method specifically, and she has some really well researched and thought out, let's just call them ways of dating that are unlike anybody else that I've ever
Strategies, tools.
strategies, tools. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to welcome Laurie, and today we are going to be talking a lot about dating and sex. Yes, we are talking
Yes.
about
Get the
sex.
children out of the room if you don't want them in on this.
Yep, because it's a big part of dating. I think you all know me, Camille Lawson. I am a health, hormone, and sexuality relationship psychotherapist coach, and I love talking about sex. So, I'm going to kick us off with one sex fun fact. We're going to strew these throughout our conversation today. So, Lori, let me ask you, both the penis and the clitoris have a lot of nerve endings, given that they are our sexual powerhouses. Any
Yes.
idea how many nerve endings in each?
I have no idea, and even though I read about it recently, I have no idea, but I am definitely of the bet that women have more. Or clitorises have more, I should say. I don't know about gender, but clitorises have more than penises. That much I know.
And you are spot on, but you won't believe the discrepancy. The penis tip, which is where most of them are centered, is approximately 4,000 nerves, whereas the clitoris is anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000,
That would be double or more, people. We're
double or
leaving
more.
so many nerve endings on the table, aren't we? Just
It's the truth. That
ignoring them and leaving
little
them subjective.
powerhouse is
Amazing.
extraordinary. Let's dive in first though, Lori, to dating. I mean, typically before we get into the sex piece, people are dating one date, two dates, four dates, 10 dates, whatever it may
Right.
be. Can you walk us through a little bit more about your unique strategies, which I do love, the 3H chart and leading to your 3 date rule?
Yes. Okay. So this is a little preview of my free webinar, everybody. There is a hour long on this for free in the webinar, all
We'll
the
post that. We'll
to
put
that.
that in,
So
in
this is a little taste of it, just so you know if you are interested, you can get more. The strategy that wows people, whether they're coming to me fresh into dating or they are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, haven't dated for a really long time, or have been struggling with dating in their 50s, 60s, 70s, this strategy blows people's minds. And it is to equally consider the vote of your head, your heart, and your hoo ha. So the H's are the head, what's practical, the heart, how it feels, and the hoo ha, what turns you on. And what we find again with women across all age brackets, socioeconomics, cultures, we pick one or two, we sell out on one or two. We do not believe in the whole package. We do not think it's possible. We don't think it's possible in our neighborhood. We haven't seen role models of it mostly. And so we negotiate. We let one of the H's rule out or dominate the others, and we make little deals, hoping it's going to turn out, hoping we can make it manipulate it into somehow being good enough. And we end up disappointed over and over again. So when I coach women, I use something called the 3H chart, which has the criteria, which is individual. Each woman has a different set of criteria. It's very specific process to hone it down. And then as a person is dating, they have to actually go through their criteria and ask questions appropriate to learning whether or not that criteria has been fulfilled or not for your head, your heart, and your hoo ha, and give honest ratings. We make it's so nerdy, as you know. We make what is so qualitative quantitative so that it's black and white in front of your face. You cannot sell out anymore. As you know, in group coaching, we've got a team spirit around it where we cheer each other on not to sell out. And then you asked about the 3 date rule. So just to bring it all into closure, we have a strategy where we only get 3 dates in order to determine if somebody is rating high enough on all those 3H criteria. to warrant a fourth date. And then we could talk about sex, segue to sex, but that's the
Yeah.
nutshell of the concept.
I love it. And just to be clear, so you put an equal rating of each of the head, heart, hoo-ha. Is that right? Do
Well,
they
a way to think
all they
about it.
all get an equal, they're all equal.
Well, this is my favorite way to think about it. So if you think about a pie, most people divide the pie up. So it's like 30% hoo-ha, 30% head, and 40% heart, or whatever it is. So we divide it up, and it's like, oh, if hoo-ha's really high, we understand that it's going to be a little lower on head. Or if head's really high, we understand it's going to be a little lower on hoo-ha, right? And we're trying to get it up to 100%. What we're doing is 100% head, 100% heart,
Uh,
100% hoo-ha. So it's 300% that we're working on, and we need to get you to 80% in each. So it just changes the mindset that wants to
right.
compromise and sell out and pit one thing against another and goes, no, we have to actually find out what's possible in this relationship in each one separately.
Okay, and that makes sense. So we're not looking for perfection because we certainly know that that doesn't exist. We're
Doesn't exist.
not perfect. We may act like we are, but no, kidding. But we're not, and neither are they.
Right.
And I think a quick description of what you refer to as liabilities, like a liability,
In
since we're
trouble.
going to be talking more about sex and we'll talk more about erectile difficulties. ED, as we call it, could be a liability for a certain woman and or a certain man, and it might not be for somebody else. So can
A
you
hundred
speak
percent.
to the definition really
And
in
I
that?
hear about sexual liabilities all the time, whether it's herpes,
Sure.
erectile dysfunction, dry vagina, low libido, no interest, can't have an orgasm. I mean, the list is long of the potential liability. I'll call them
Sure.
liabilities, but it's big quotes around liabilities because with the right partner, it's a challenge, or
A challenge as opposed to a liability.
exactly,
Yeah.
or it's just something you can actually treat and make go away, right? So this we love liabilities that are curable. Like what I had a client who the liability of her partner was she didn't like how he dressed. That's curable, right? Another liability, she didn't like his teeth, curable, right? Like there's lack of fitness, curable, right? Like there's a lot of things that are curable. Liability, again, liabilities that are curable. But just to define it, when I'm coaching someone, I want them to know what are the things about them that might be deal breakers for somebody else. And they're not, I call them liabilities, but they're only liabilities if they are. In other words, I wanted to live in New York. That is a liability for a lot of human beings. It's not by nature bad, right? Like it's just if you have 7 cats, someone might love that, but for someone else who's allergic to cats, that would be considered a liability. So I want you to be very conscious to what your quote unquote possible liabilities are so that you can speak about them articulately, right? If you have a health concern, if you have ED, if you have herpes, if you have a dry vagina, if you have like you want to be able to talk about it to lessen your stress, lessen the nature of liability to it. So I want you
Mhm.
to know what those are, plan for them, think about them, treat them if you can, right? Learn more
Mhm.
about them if you can, fix them if you can, or otherwise just be responsible for them and the impact they may have on someone else. And then I want you to be eyes wide open to find out what the other person's liabilities are. Again, with the context that they might not even be liabilities, but let's get them out in the open so we can see.
Right, I love that. And that's really a great segue because that's also you really advocate in that process talking about sex before you have sex. And I love what you say because I remember saying this to my teenager, late teenager kids, but it's applicable to adults as well. If you can't talk about it, you have no business being between the sheets naked with this person sharing bodily fluids. Thank you very much.
That's exactly my line.
But how many of us have struggle
Right.
with these kind of conversations? So I see your point. If you can bring it up and talk about it both in terms of liabilities and also in terms of what matters to you.
Right.
You
Right.
know, you had said in the group, I remember too, Lori, that some people are, let's call it more vanilla sex. Some people are into different fetishes and kink. As long as it's two consenting adults, as far as I'm concerned, do whatever you want. But if you have something that is maybe a little out of the ordinary, do you advocate talking about that ahead of time too,
I
or
do.
waiting?
I do. But again, to your earlier point, if trust is not there, if attraction's not there, if trust is not there, if all the H's aren't lining up, don't bother revealing your kink. Don't bother revealing something that might get you judged or ostracized in any way. You don't owe disclosure about something that you're into or even a health issue until you trust a person and want to mix bodily fluids with them. So I'm not trying to rush disclosing very sensitive
Okay.
personal things. I am just trying to get it done before you're between the sheets. And I'm mostly trying to get it done before you're between the sheets. In a health case, I think it's just courtesy to let people know what's going on. But when it comes to what you like, it's just more likely to go well if you can sober eye to eye in the daylight, talk about those things, think of the bonding and the intimacy, and hopefully, if you're attracted, the heat that can build if you talk about it before you actually do it. Because once you actually do it, and oh my gosh, fantasy and reality are so different. Once you actually do it, it's only got a 50% chance of going well. So you also want that trust and affinity built so that if it doesn't go well, you can debrief it and you can figure out what went wrong and you can laugh and you can comfort each other and you can try again tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I talk about with clients all the time. Sex is actually meant to be fun, everybody. Like it really is. Like it can be serious and really intimate and really close, but it's also can be playful and a good time and lots of humor has a good place, particularly maybe as we get older, maybe when you're younger too. I mean, it really is important. I know many people ask, Lori, when is the magic time to have
Right.
sex when you're dating. This comes up. Time it was too soon. I waited too long. He
Right.
was pressuring me. I wanted to jump into bed, but then I heard this voice saying you'll be judged. You shouldn't have
Right.
on.
Right.
Do people?
Well, I will say this. I've never heard a woman say they regret waiting.
Okay.
I've never heard a woman say they regret waiting. And if waiting scared off the guy in their idea, I think that's fine. Look, I'm okay with it. So I think the bigger pitfall is to go in too soon. And so I don't say wait X number of weeks or X number of dates even. I say wait until certain criteria are met, certain conversations have been had. So first, I want all three H's to be 8 or above on a scale of 1 to 10 because presumably you are taking the relationship further by having sex. And if you're taking it further, we want it to be something that's a keeper. Once we
So
know
the
that,
foundation, so to speak, like
yeah. And
all
what
that, the
we
foundation is there.
you should correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's a hormonal thing that happens with women once they've had sex. I think it might be the oxytocin. I'm not sure.
Oxytocin, absolutely. And let
Okay,
me jump in for 1 second, quickly
please.
say to everybody, because this is so true. Oxytocin is like the best hormone. We love oxytocin. It makes you feel warm and cuddly and attached and loving. But oxytocin can steer you so wrong,
Right.
ladies. Men get it a bit too, but it's mostly women. And if you have sex with the wrong person, for you, oxytocin actually lies to your brain and
Lies.
tells you that
It
this
turns your
person
it turns
is
your heart rating up.
perfect. Exactly. Totally turns your heart rate up. I love that. And so oxytocin is not your friend in
Right.
these cases. So
Exactly.
another that is a very good reason to wait so that oxytocin, when it emerges, is actually telling you the truth.
Exactly. It's such a good point. And men don't have that. Men actually can have sex and enjoy it whilst not being in love and not bonding to the person they have the sex with, which is their biology. It is not personal to you and it's
Right.
not a sin. It's we are biologically different. So unfortunately, what often happens once you decide to have sex is the woman does feel a bond, feels an investment, falls deeper in love, and that does not necessarily happen for the man, which can cause a heartbreak. So the criteria, each H is 8 or above, head, heart, and hoo-ha, which means you've already had a lot of conversations about the compatibility of your life, how you want to communicate, sharing deep personal information with each other, talking about things that work and don't work, about talking about your future, your dreams, what you want in your life. All of that would need to be happening in order to know where someone rates head, heart, and hoo-ha. And hopefully the hoo-ha is only getting better the longer you wait. Feel free to make out. Feel free to feel each other up in the alleyway, or at the restaurant, the dark restaurant. But hopefully the hoo-ha is rising as you become safer and more intimate with one another, as you learn more about each other, as you spend more time together. So all H's at 8 or above. If you're just planning a fling, that's fine. Let me just say, you still have head, heart, and hoo-ha. Primarily for head, they have to be cool with the fling too, right? Like that's a head
Oh,
criteria
that's a good
for a
point.
fling.
Do you feel that if you're going to have a fling, which I agree, nothing wrong with a fling, you should be letting the person know that
Yes.
rather than just kind
Yes.
of
Again,
going with
before you
it?
have sex, you need to
Ah,
let them know you're looking for long term or you're not looking for long term. Both of those, to me, that's the same as STD disclosure. Like the
really?
person has a right to know.
So you're really looking for real honesty here, Lori.
Yes, because the alternative just leads to people breaking each other's hearts and or contracting diseases, right? So if you can't have an STI conversation, if you can't have a what I'm really looking for in a relationship, you're not intimate, connected, and trusting enough to have sex. That I think sex is the reward for for doing your homework. And it's like dessert, right? It's your reward for eating your vegetables. And your vegetables include making it safe, like physically safe, health-wise safe, emotionally safe. And then of course, you know, but I think that physically and emotionally safe. I think that those are the ways that we need to make it safe. So three H's, all 8 and above, you've had a conversation about your intentions and you align. Either you're both looking for long term or you're both looking for casual. If you're looking for long term, I would recommend agreeing to monogamy before you have sex. So that's yet another level. If that is not important to you, maybe I could flex on that. But for most people, if you're looking for long term, again, you're going to have that bond, you're going to start getting attached. I say wait until you are ready to come off the sites or not be dating other people if you're going to start engaging and having sex with somebody. For so many reasons, but that's what I
Yeah.
would recommend for someone who's serious about finding their person. So then two people agree, not that they're going to be together forever. It's not a marriage proposal. It's just for right now, we're not going to be seeing or having sex with other people.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think if you can get to 8 or above on all three H's, if you can have the STI conversation, if you can have the what I'm looking for in a relationship conversation, and if you can agree to temporary monogamy, then you can start talking about what you like. But frequency, quality, what makes it good for you, what kind of like what are you into? What do you like? What do you not like? And so I would say that's the fifth thing. If you can't talk a little bit about that, and you do not need to get into massive amounts of detail, right? Like but you do need to talk about anything that could come up and be awkward. So that would be the time to talk about erectile dysfunction. That would be the time to talk about taking Viagra, right? Like if you're going to take Viagra, like now we kind of need to work together, right? Because there's a timing issue. That's when to talk about health issues, props you like, kinks you have, likes and dislikes, that's the time. And then I would say if you got all that out of the way, go ye forth. And don't go to someone's house until you've done that, because once you're at someone's house, sorry, folks, that is a suggestion that you are ready. Even if you didn't mean to suggest that you're ready, it does suggest that. So please note.
Right. I mean, I love what you're saying. I do think I have to comment that it's a tall order, I think, for people, given the level of repression of sex talk and how most of us were raised, and even as, in our 50s and beyond.
Right.
That kind of conversation, Lori, would be tough for a lot
Yes,
of people.
everybody thinks I'm crazy. And everybody experiments skipping a lot of those. And then everybody comes crying to me. So I really agree. It's a really tall order. It really
Right.
is. And I- all I can say is do it your way,
Well,
take
you're
the
saying, I think you're
consequences.
saying is in an ideal world that we would have these
It's
conversations.
just how
I
we
get
would
it.
resolve the problem. So if you think about the alternative to not following any one of those five,
Hmm.
steps is like someone's gonna get hurt, someone's gonna get a disease they don't want, someone's gonna have a misunderstanding, right? So it just is. I'm in the business, and I work with primarily women over 50. I'm in the business of reducing your fatigue, reducing your disappointment, reducing your pain. So if you want to know how, it's just like lifting weights as we age, Camille. Like, I'm sorry, it takes a little extra effort
But
to
well worth
do it
it, is
right,
what
but
you're
well worth
saying.
it. It,
But
it really,
well worth
it
it.
really, really is. Or taking supplements, right? It's like, oh my God, really? I have these 20 things I have to put down my throat. Yeah. You want to feel good? Yeah. We
Yeah,
used to die at
mindful.
40. Like, yeah, you want to feel good to the 100? Yeah, you're gonna need a little help.
Don't let me forget. I do have a couple of new supplements that I'm using for some of this that we're talking about.
Right.
So I'm going to say the two things that pop up in my office the most often, and I'm going to say whether people have the conversation ahead of time or they are a little shy too, and now they're in the bedroom. The two things that seem to run into interference, let's call it, for women, especially over 50, can be the dry, painful vagina. As
Yeah.
we know, as estrogen goes down, the walls of the vagina, their connective tissue, they get very dry and can actually be very painful.
Yeah.
So in that department, certainly what I recommend is that people, women, and if you're going to his house, you bring it with you. There are some fabulous hyaluronic acid now moisturizers, more than just a lube. The old lubes are great for sex play, for fun. But honestly, ladies, at over 50, we need more. You're looking for a moisturizing lubricant. I also love this cream, Jelva cream, which is like a cream that actually is restoring, like it's working with DHEA and some botanicals and different things. But I'm saying take it with you so that it's not a problem in the moment. The second issue, Laurie, that I know has come up in the group, and you must have heard many, is erectile difficulties. And let me normalize it for just a moment. It is entirely normal, everyone, for men over 50 to occasionally, to sometimes, to often experience changes in their erections, right, Lori? Like the ability to orgasm can change, the ability to have an erection, hold an erection, it can come and go, it cannot come. And what happens in the moment is that for a lot of men, they are very penis oriented. Actually, I have a fun fact for you really fast that fits right
Fun
here.
fact.
Fun fact for men. So, how long is the average erect penis?
I know this one.
Do you?
I do. I've even studied, different different cultures' averages, but I believe the general average is around 5.5 inches. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, you're just about right on, just under.
Just
But
under,
interestingly, men across cultures think that the average is 6.2.
right? Because they're looking at
Like
porn.
a good extra, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because they're looking at porn, you're right. So, my point is that many men are very fixated, understandably so. We've been a very penis worshiping culture. They've been brought up that way. So, when it pops up for your dating group, which I know is a lot of women over 50, pops up, doesn't pop up. Oh, good one. Um, do you have, like, in your experience, because you've probably coached a lot more daters than I have,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do you say? What's your advice?
I mean, the first bit of advice is so boilerplate, but so needs to be said, which is don't take it personally. It's not personal. If he's in bed with you, he would love to have an erection and he would love it to do exactly what he would like. And if it's not, he is way more upset than you should be. So don't take it personally, is my number one advice. Number two, there is a mental component. So to the extent that you can be patient, kind, talk before you have sex, talk if it is happening, if he wants to, take breaks, come back, to the extent that you can be flexible, that's going to calm him, ease him, take the mental
Mhm.
component out of it. But then there's also the mental component about being alive, right? Being alive, whatever's going on for their careers or finances or kids or life or whatever.
Mhm.
And so it's again a good reason to wait, right? And have a solid friendship where there is trust and sharing so that the mental component is lessened and there's more of a likelihood that if it's happening it's purely physical. Now the second really important thing I want to explain is that penises are absolutely not required. Erect penises are just absolutely not required for excellent sex, and I am mystified that this is not common knowledge.
I am so with you there. So say more.
What are we doing? Like, I say it is a failure of imagination if you cannot figure out how to get off when there's so many lovely things that could substitute for a hard penis. And most men are completely excited to watch a woman get off, regardless of how it is happening, because it is exciting for them. And if your guy isn't into that, he might not be straight. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Most men really, really enjoy a woman getting off. That's why they watch porn. So there's fingers, there's tongues, there's dildos, there's vibrators, there's
Oh, the list is
chapstick, there's I don't know what to do. There's so many things that if you need a hard thing in there, that can replace a hard penis while he gathers himself or just watches or participates or whatever. So there is no reason, in my opinion, why a penis has to be a certain size or has to be a certain level of erect. And again, yes, okay. So if it's going to take more time to get the job done, cool. Make time for it. Especially if you're over 50, the kids are grown. Like, give
time.
yourself an afternoon. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. And that is, you raised such a good point. I like to look at Laurie's sex as on a continuum. You know, we have been this culture of thinking about penetrative intercourse in the hetero norm. Obviously, we're talking sexuality of all between anybody, everybody. But that has been our cultural norm, and it's very penis, again, very penis focused. But sexuality is on a continuum. It is not just one thing, it's anything from the making out, the kissing. Men, by the way, with prostate cancer and who've had prostate surgery, radiation in some examples, often cannot ever get an erection, can still have orgasms. There are ways, there's lots of different ways, and I love that. So the continuum is not to get stuck and to realize that it's about pleasuring. And women, by the way, also get pleasure from pleasuring and seeing their man either have an orgasm or just feel good. And men are exactly the same. They want to see their woman enjoy herself. That they live for that actually. So it's a big part of it. And I love what you also said, and I want to say more about that. Making love for a few hours is a luxury that older people get to have.
Yeah.
And it is the most wonderful thing because extraordinary things can happen to a body when there's time. And here's a little fun fact on that one, which is how long do you think, Laurie, it takes the average woman to even get to a point of arousal where blood is in her pelvic region, where on average?
I mean, I'm different. I think I am not the average. I bring the average down, but I'm going to say 8 minutes.
Okay. Well, the average woman is 20 full minutes.
I have a kid at home, Camille. I'm like two. I do not have time.
I'm probably not far off your two.
20 minutes.
We're going to be an anomaly in order. But here's the thing, it's probably speaks to the point of having the time, because when you have the time to play around, fool around for a longer period of time, there's a lot of erectile tissue in around our vaginal canal, like not just centered ladies around the clitoris. So it takes time for the blood and for everything to get there. And once things are revved up, lots can happen that maybe you haven't really
As you
experienced
said,
before.
whole new world.
A whole new
Whole
world.
new worlds, ladies. Find yourself that plaything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I went right over vaginal dryness, just like the whole world does, and went right to penises. But what I want to say about vaginal dryness is just do not tolerate it. There
Yeah.
are so many solutions. Do not tolerate it. Do not tolerate pain. Do not tolerate dryness. There are so many solutions. Ask Camille. Go to the show notes. Like they're just,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if one thing doesn't work, you just move on to the next one because
You do. And Lori, I appreciate that. It's certainly an area of my expertise, and I have tried all sorts of things
all the
myself. And lots work. They work. So this Jelva cream, I love, it works. The other thing I really want to talk about for both the vagina and penises is nitric oxide. And tell me, Lori, have you, it's kind of all over the supplement world right now. So in the past, we were always think about nitro and nitric oxide in relation to heart health. You know, it was the old, like the pills people put under their tongue when they have angina. is nitro. But nitric oxide is actually a supplement that one can ingest, and usually in a powder form. That's the one I use. It has really been now shown because it's relaxing and dilating our blood vessels. So not just for heart health, it is actually taking blood to everywhere in our body, including penises and vaginal tissue. So when we think about the pelvic floor and getting all that beautiful engorgement and getting the blood where you want it to go, having blood vessels that can do that is actually really, really important. And so nitric oxide has become one of the treatments, in fact, for erectile difficulties, men out there. And I'd encourage you, I can put a link to the one I use, but I'd encourage you to do a little homework and check with your doctor, of course, to see whether
Yeah.
it's okay for you. But for most people, even those with heart issues, it is in fact very helpful. So that's a nice, more natural thing that we can do. And having blood everywhere, circulatory system,
Yeah.
skin,
All the things.
all the things is
Yeah.
very good.
All right, Camille, I think we have to do a part two because I think you should end on a fun fact, first of all.
Okay.
Did I speak to the things you wanted me to speak to today?
Yes, you did. You absolutely did. So I'll leave another fun fact because this is a discrepancy, and maybe this is where we can pick up when we talk about sexuality and dating and relationships next time. So how long, Lori, does it take the average man to have a orgasm versus the average woman?
Average man. Okay. I'm going to say man, 5 minutes, woman, 10 minutes.
Okay, you're not far off.
Okay.
Average for man is about 5 minutes, and the average for women is about 14 minutes.
Hey,
I know, crazy, but let's also point out that 82% of women don't have
they
orgasms,
just don't
by
even
the
bother
way,
'cause they
with
don't have
intercourse.
20 minutes. They don't have 20 minutes on that patient of a guy. Okay.
Yeah, and
Need a
remembering it's not
revolution.
all through intercourse, so there's all sorts of other things that we can talk about.
Well, again, I would like to really talk about ensuring a woman's orgasm. Can we put that on the list for next time?
That is an
I feel like there's a lot of women can do to make that happen, not just for men. Okay, and I want to just
lot.
remind everybody that if you are unsure about dating, if you're scared about dating, if you're like, oh, I wish I would date, or you are dating and you're frustrated and you're disappointed and you're getting fatigued, or you're even in an early relationship and you're like, is this a 3H match? Just watch the free webinar. Just watch it. Just get the basics. It is literally no cost to you. It is what I give away for free to give people a taste of what I do, and you will walk away understanding your 3H's, what you are really looking for, and how to see if you're anywhere close or not. So that is my
And I will put the
yeah.
link to the webinar in the comments, and I can attest that Lori's method is very effective. It makes you feel empowered, and knowledge is power. Lori, thank you very much. As always, loved chatting with you. It's always interesting, energetic, and I learn from you all the time. I know we all do. And
Yeah.
this topic is very important. So we will stay tuned for part two.